everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Living with Jesus series. I am Brittany Shawley, and today I'm here with Anne-Marie. Welcome, Anne-Marie.
Hi, thank you.
Yeah, I'm glad to have you today. Looking
Mm,
forward to your answers to these questions.
Great.
So perhaps we'll just dive right in. I like to start a little broad, but perhaps talk to me about your relationship to Jesus as a whole. Like, how do you see him? Who is he to you?
Hmm. How do I see him? Well, when I really see him in my mind, it is very typical of the sort of I suppose, like, let's say, biblical image of him in his long cloths, clothes and longer hair. Um, but it's very much there's such a gentleness around him. And for me, it's this sense of he just wants to put his arm around me and say, "Hey, Anne-Marie, come on, let's go." Or, what is it you want to talk about? And it's like that dearest friend that you can rely on 100% of the time to be there and never to falter. And I think for me, there's such solidity in that. It's like it's so stable and never, never, never wavers. Um, and so, yeah, he just feels like, yeah, like an older brother in many ways. I kind of can feel that. Yeah, this brother has no past.
Mm-hmm.
Like our maybe a biological brother or sister. It's just complete presence. So there's no kind of history coming with that. Um, just someone that wants to listen and support you, um, and a friend, a true, true friend. And also it feels completely equal.
Yeah.
There's no kind of hierarchy. Oh, it's Jesus. It's not. It just never has felt like that. And that's what I think so really beautiful, and I feel so safe because it's just, yeah, it's just so equal, and that feels quite rare to experience that in normal life, shall we say, that consistency every single time. So that's how I see him and feel him and experience him.
That's so beautiful. There's a
Yeah.
there's a few things in there. I resonate with everything you said. I completely agree. But I love that you said that he sees us as equals. And to me, that's like the mark of friendship, right? Like when you're friends with each other, it's this beautiful giving and receiving exchange. Like as soon as someone sees themselves as better than the other, it's like, wait a minute, like what happened to my buddy? Like what happened to my friend? And I feel like that's what allows him to be reachable because we're not like putting him on some pedestal that he's
Mm.
like, boo, oh my God, this is Jesus. It's like, this is Jesus. it's my buddy, it's my friend, you
Yeah.
know? Like, I love this.
Exactly.
And I love
Yeah.
how you said that he kind of does two things. He does the same thing with me. Either it's like, okay, come on, we're going this way. And he like leads us in our daily life and leads us in what we're meant to do, what we're meant to say, where we're meant to go. But then at the same time, it's like, okay, what do you want to talk about today? So he's equally like this guider, like, but he, as well as a listener, you know, and
Mm.
I feel like that's such, it's so, it feels so safe and it feels so comforting, and just to know that we can just have a conversation with him about anything and everything, and he will be there. So thank you for
Mm.
highlighting all that gentleness about Jesus, because
Mm.
that's really him to me too. So
Great.
thank you that. So with this gentle Jesus, I'm just gonna call him gentle Jesus. I like that.
Sounds nice.
How did you come to accept Jesus in your life? Like, did you always believe in Jesus? Was there a turning point, like a before and after for you? Maybe talk to me a little bit about your experience in coming to know Jesus and coming to have him in your life.
Mm. Yeah, wow, that's quite a question. I mean, most of my formative years, nothing in my life of any significance at all in that way, because very early on I switched off from religion, and I didn't want a religion. Um, So I was completely accepting of people who did. But it's like, so I parked all of that somewhere at some point in my life and got on with my life. Um, but I think, as happens to many people, there comes certain times in our lives where, let's just say, things, well, for me, a lot of things started to happen. And I came to a point in my life where I was very, I'm not going to say unhappy, but probably lost.
Yeah.
I had the trappings of a wonderful life, a lovely husband, children, a lovely home, you name it, I had it on paper. But then a series of things happened where I really was struggling, but I didn't probably know how much I was struggling, shall we say. And I had an experience which completely changed the trajectory of my life. And basically, it was in my bedroom and doing my headless chicken thing, as you do when you've got young children. My children were quite young. And I had this experience like I was about to fall off a cliff into my death, into this complete chasm of nothingness. And it scared the hell out of me. I'd never experienced anything like it. I didn't know it was happening to me. And in those moments, you can't make sense. And I just screamed out, to what, to whom, I had no idea, but something like, please help me. I cannot do this anymore. And it was a cry for help. But to whom, as I say, zero idea. But in desperation, I think when these things come, there's that surrender, and the flag temporarily was there, the surrender flag. And then I kind of pulled myself together and thought, oh my goodness, I've got kids, I've got to sort myself out. And then a whole series of things started to come into my life and change the direction of my life, which I didn't make sense of at the time. I had no idea. It was only maybe 5 or 6 years later, and I kind of looked back and I went, oh, that moment, which I now call the falling, this is when all these different things started to happen. And I ended up meeting holistic people, spiritual people, which was not on my radar before. And so that journey took me on the holistic path, which I, as I say, had no idea of. And then I started to meet, as I say, spiritual people, and I'm thinking, well, what does that mean? Because I had no idea. I had no concept because I'd switched off.
Right.
And then people were starting to talk about different experiences and energy and all this, as then I would call woo-woo stuff. Sure. And I wasn't a woo-woo person. I was very sensible. Very sensible. And I was very much, prove it to me.
Yeah.
Or I don't believe it.
Sure.
Black and white.
Yeah.
So I had a lot of convincing. But through, I can call them absolute miracles now, I wouldn't have called it then, over several years, I did a lot of training, but then I got to a point where I realized I need to go in. Then I met people who were really starting to help me open my mind to spirit, to that world. And even then I was still not, seeking a guru or I don't know what, a teacher as such. But one of the teachers that I was so blessed to meet was talking about God and angels and all this kind of stuff. And I'm thinking, well, what's all of this? I was uncomfortable. But the love that I felt when I walked in that room every single week blew me away. And I thought, I don't know what this is, but it feels good. It feels really good. So it started to open my world and my mind to this love. And I'm going to use the love with a capital L because it's not, for me, it never felt like love I'd experienced in this world. So it started to open up the God word, where I used to have a visceral response of Oh, no. And then, to cut a very long story short, I ended up training to be a multi-faith minister. Um, so I was out of the God closet at that point.
I like that.
But then, of course, I started to look at all different faiths and religions and open my mind. And that literally blew my mind. And so Jesus was one of the, obviously within Christianity, I was starting to look at. And even then it was like, oh, well, that's nice for other people. I hope that makes them happy. And it was a genuine, but little by little, there's something started to just melt away, something within me to be even more open to the possibility of this teacher of Jesus that I'd heard about when I was a child and I'd read about, but never could really understand. And I think the first experience that I really had with Jesus was when I was doing my training. And my daughter was in hospital at the time because she'd been diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. So I used to have quite a few regular visits to the hospital at that time. And there was one day I was walking around the hospital and there was a chapel in the hospital. And I thought, oh, well, let's go in here. Let's see, have a look. Because there was some upset going on, with my daughter being in hospital and, why is she here? And I don't want her to be here. And I walked into this chapel, Brittany, and there was something in that space. And there was all the symbols of all different faiths and all different religions. And I felt at home. And it was round about Christmas time. And I was kind of seeing all the craziness going on in the world, with people going mad over Christmas and getting this and doing this. And I sat down and I just said to Jesus, I said, Jesus, what do you make of all this crazy madness going on in supposedly in the name of your birth? Because I was just thinking, and it was a genuine, just that's, I don't know why that question came and why it was very matter of fact. It wasn't a big deal. And then I just, received this message and it was so comforting. And it was just like, oh yeah, I can't remember the words now because it was quite a long time ago, but it answered my question. And I really could see that Jesus wasn't judging it at all, but was, I guess for me, sort of helping me to see that what I was experiencing in that moment of the peace I felt there and just having this conversation was his message and was the love. And that really soothed me at the time. And I thought, it kind of felt cool, it's like, well, this is kind of cool. I can just come in here and have a little chat. And I had no attachment to an answer, you see. I just thought, well, that's what, And I think it was like, oh, okay. So I wouldn't say I sort of fell in love with Jesus as such then, but it was kind of like, oh, well, that was nice. Kind of got on with my life. And then again, another incident over my kids, I think the biggest healing I've had over my life is, things with my children. And going on several years later, where my son had a lot of hard stuff happen and my daughter was going through some stuff and it was hard as a mother. And I was really upset and feeling so guilty and so responsible for what I perceived was happening. And I got this humdinger of a message from Jesus. It just came straight in. And it was very, very clear. And it said something like, paraphrase, but it is total arrogance to think that you have any part in the awakening of your children and what they have to experience. And I was just like, whoa. But it was true.
Right.
And I felt it.
Goosebumps.
I felt it and I needed that absolute slicing through my kind of pity at the time, or my kind of victimhood.
Sure.
And it was like a slice through, literally, and it stopped me in my tracks. And I thought, you're right. It's true. And it was so humbling. It was such a relief as well.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just like, thank you, Jesus, because this guilt that I have been carrying about being this perfect mother, making everything okay for my kids, how can I live up to that?
Right.
Can anyone live up to that? I don't think so. But Jesus pointed that out to me, and it literally, like a burden had been lifted from my shoulder that day, when Jesus and it was the love, when they say that, it was, as I say, so clear and succinct, but I felt the love and the truth behind it. And I thought, oh boy, wow, thank you, thank you. So they were the two real pivotal kind of points where I kind of thought, there's something here,
Yeah.
you know. And then it just continued, really, for me, primarily through A Course in Miracles, which was, is Jesus speaking, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
and that journey, I would say, with the Course, has then taken me to a point now of falling in love with Jesus.
I understand.
And it's like, oh, how did that happen? Because I was never looking for that. I
Right.
was never trying to have it, if that
Yep.
makes sense.
Yep.
So I love the way it came in the exact right way for me. And I think that's what is so beautiful, when we at least have an open mind, is that spirit, Jesus, God, whoever you want to call it, will come in the way that will suit us, if you like.
Yes. Yes.
So
Beautiful
yeah,
story.
yeah.
Oh, I'm sure so many people will resonate with this. I'm a mom. I get that. I get it. Oh my goodness. And I think one of the most important things, two of the most important things that you mentioned in your story that I think will be really, really helpful for people who are listening to this today, is that you did have to have an open mind and, in a sense, surrender and ask for help. Like that was the opening. Like that was the opening of your journey, to just really be like, okay, I need help here, and open to whatever that help was going to look like, and in whatever way that was going to come. And then I also really want to highlight, yeah, that it's about the communication for you. That you opened up that dialogue, and you weren't even sure if it would be him per se who would answer, but then he shows up as the answer, as the help, and yeah, answer to your prayer, basically.
Mm,
And so I
mm,
feel like really highlighting the importance of communication with him, like through an open mind. And you also said something about not being attached to the answer. That's also really big, of just like remaining in that space of open-mindedness, ask, and just patience, like not expecting an answer, not expecting that is immediate, even though it was immediate for you, but just opening to that communication, I feel is what he's waiting for with us. And yeah,
mm,
Course in Miracles trains us to learn how to ask and listen and receive and trust and all of that beautifulness. But I've really noticed a theme, that those who have really fallen in love with Jesus, as I have, it begins first with the surrender, the asking for help, the communication, the establishment of faith with him, and then he teaches us the Course
mm,
through his guidance, right?
mm.
So I love this, and I feel like it's so relatable. And thank you also for that nugget of, we can't control and we don't know what our children's lessons are in this life. So it's wise of us, A, not to judge it, and B, not to feel guilty for any of it.
Mm,
Because they need
mm.
their experiences to wake up like we are. And so
Yeah.
that's really important to hear.
Mm,
Yeah. Um, okay. Thank you so much for sharing. So, in regards to now having, fallen in love with Jesus and him being part of your everyday life, what does that look like with you? Maybe on a little bit of like a practical level. Like, are you one who, prays, in the morning? Do you meditate? Do you bring him into your daily, life decisions? Do you bring him into your work? What does it look like for you as a day to day kind of like relationship with Jesus?
mm, mm. Yes, I think pretty much everything you mentioned, really. I mean, My practice is primarily the course, so therefore that is the instant connection every day. You know, his words are there on the paper. His teaching every single day. His sort of intermediary in the course is called Holy Spirit.
Mm-hmm.
So that is kind of the bridge. I always see that as the bridge to the message and to the guidance. Um, and yeah, I mean, it's just, yeah, a complete now trust that, you know, there's still times when I'm desperate for an answer or desperate for like an outcome. And one of the characteristics of a teacher of God in the manual is, you know, is trust and the development of trust.
Yeah.
And so that is really, I would say, such a big one. And I do trust what is written in that book.
Mm-hmm.
And therefore I trust Jesus because it's his teachings. So I would say with my work, I use one of the prayers a lot from the course, which is the healer's prayer. I am here only to be truly helpful, that one. And, you know, it's so humbling because, you know, years ago when I'd learned all my stuff and got all my qualifications, you know, it was very much about Anne-Marie being the healer. You know, what's Anne-Marie going to do? You know, and oh boy, have I had to have a complete 360 because now it's not about me. It's not about Anne-Marie anymore. And that's taken a lot of undoing, I can tell you, because the ego wants it to be about this personality, this person. And it was quite a hard lesson to learn, I'm going to be honest. But now it's a relief. It is such a relief to say, I know nothing. And to sit there as a therapist, shall we say, as a healer, as a teacher of stuff, that's a big kind of shift because the world teaches us that, you know, with all our qualifications and experience, it's this person that's doing it. But the humbleness I feel now when I use that, you know, I'm here only to be truly helpful. I'm here to represent him who sent me. It's like then, I just, you know, got the shivers there. It's like I can be worked through.
Yes.
And I get out of the way.
Yes.
Which is such a relief because it just brings such a different dimension into my life, into what I'm doing. And equally, it takes away this kind of sense of I've got to get something right.
Right.
Because, you know, I don't know. But when I give it to Jesus and I give it to Spirit, it's like, you please, you help speak through me and you help to guide me. And yeah, I fluff it up and yeah, I forget. I do every day, you know. But I think the humbleness that I feel now when I can work from that premise, it's just changed everything. Honestly, it's such a different feeling. And it's such a relief as well. It's like, it's not about me. And of course, ego really doesn't like that. But it is, you know, if you look at Jesus' teachings and how he healed the sick and, you know, just his presence, but his total knowing of the truth. And I think that's what, if I can come anywhere close to being able to be in that energy, if you like, to be able to hold that space of love and knowing of the truth, it's so beautiful, really. And so it really is humbling, and I get, and that just merges into my personal life, to my everyday life, really. And the course constantly reminds me to see my brother, to see through the eyes of love, and to see the Christ. And if I can really sit and see the Christ, what else is there to do? I don't know what else there is to do, to be honest. I was like, that's it for me, you know. And and boy, oh boy, does life just kind of, I don't know, it expands. All of the stuff that I used to focus on just falls away, and there's such a simplicity. Um, so, so yeah, just saying this to you, it's kind of cool, isn't it? It's like, I'm so happy now that I have fallen in love with Jesus and this
Yeah.
beautiful message, because wow, 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 what a gift, really.
It is a
Mm.
gift. And you're giving a gift to so many people who are just able to witness to your story and your relationship with him. It's really inspiring and really beautiful, and that's it. I think when we can come to the point where we are willing to trust that it's okay to not know. It's okay to not know how to parent. It's okay not to know how to help a brother. It's okay not to know what to do each day.
Mm.
But to trust that Christ knows, that Jesus knows, and that we are his vessel, right? He wants to use our voice. He wants to use our hands. He wants to use our stories and demonstrations and our voice to help
Mm.
others. It is through that willingness of our own to trust that we get to experience ourselves being the conduit and the vessel of the Holy Spirit, of his grace, of his love. And it, like you're saying, it just humbles you. Like, it's like, wow, that was so far beyond what I could possibly conceive or think or say, and the power of the love is so out of this world. It's undeniable that it's him. It's undeniable that it's the reality we share. And
Mm.
and you even mentioning that, like, your practice is to look upon our brother, like to look upon the Christ, the light that is present there. I mean, that's the forgiven perception. I feel like that is everything. And
Mm.
in that is how we heal ourselves. That is how we heal our brothers. That is how we heal our world. But it really is in relationship to that light, to that love, to Jesus. And it's so
Mm.
powerful. And just to, yeah, I think like your story here can just, I guess, offer hope for our brother and sister
Mm.
souls, that they can even just open to the possibility of communing with him and asking him and having a relationship with him and being used by him. And it's our experience in our life that shows us that it's real.
Mm.
And like you said, it just keeps expanding and increasing and getting greater, and it's so
Mm.
beautiful.
Mm.
So thank you.
Yeah.
It's the most perfect mirror that I need as well, because I too got all the credentials of being a therapist and being a coach and being a healer, and then it was like, oh wow, I have to drop all of that. This is all him. Like, all glory to God. I have no idea what I'm doing, um, but
Yeah.
it's we're needed at this time. So
Mm.
this is so beautiful.
Yeah. I was shown it, and just before I sat down, I
Yeah.
just sat for a little while, and I was shown this
Thank you.
beautiful image, and I saw this image of a windmill,
Hmm.
and Jesus basically said, "So I am the wind that moves the sails,
Yeah.
and so you can have the windmill, but if you don't have the wind, what is just a building
Right.
sitting there?
Right.
No, it can't do a thing." And so it was like this, I'm the gentle breeze that will move the sails. And it's like, that's, again, it's really beautiful, because for me, it feels very gentle. And it's like, of course, I need that to use the vehicle of this. And it's the same for us. So I love those little images that pop in, and those little metaphors that help us to say, okay, yeah. And I just thought, that's as simple as it can be sometimes, if we just, again, just sit and just open our mind and see what will come.
Yeah.
um yeah, so
Oh, I love that. That's a really good one.
yeah.
He's the wind. Yeah.
Mm.
Oh, so much, so much.
Mm.
So, so the next question I want to lean into is more of, um, like, how do you see? Because we see him having a very personal role to you in your life, and to me in my life, and helps us to help others. But how would you view Jesus's role as teacher of humanity? What kind of comes with that question for you, teacher of humanity?
I mean, for me, it's just very simple. It's the the love that he is teaching the purest, unconditional, unwavering love. And, even when he was on the cross, forgive them, for they know not what they do. Just I don't know that level of complete forgiveness of everything and everybody, because the love that he knows is the true us is what his message is. And to see the Christ, I think that's his message. That, because it's so interesting, because for me, again, I never really understood the word Christ, because it's like, oh, it's Jesus, and then they say Jesus Christ, and I'm going, well, what does that mean? Right. I don't know what that means. And again, asking it is always given, but I didn't kind of sit down and say, oh, what does this mean? It was just like, oh, I don't really get that. But little by little, the teaching has come in the awareness of what that, in my understanding anyway, of what it means, is just, he knew, without question, he was a child of God, which is the Christ.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that. I didn't know what it meant. And so it's like, that's what he's teaching us, to help us, first of all, know that that's true for us, and therefore it's true for everyone. So it's just being that witness to that, and the forgiveness that he talks about as he was there, forgive them, for they know not what they do. I mean, we could use that in many examples in our world right now.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
And it is the only teaching that I feel, and it's not just Jesus, many of the spiritual philosophies teach the same thing, that this true forgiveness, and the forgiveness is, not the traditional forgiveness that we've been brought up to believe. And, obviously God doesn't need to forgive, because there was nothing he ever condoned, you see. Right. And this is, I think, where it can get a bit confusing for people about, well, what am I forgiving? And it's actually just to see the truth in that other person, regardless of what we think or perceive they've done. Now, to me, I don't know what, that teaching from Jesus is it for me. And that is a daily practice, for sure. So when I'm triggered by something or somebody, that's what he's teaching me. And therefore that ripple has to touch other people. And it does, as we know. In the miracles that come from our own inner work, our own true forgiveness, our own acceptance that we are the Christ, we are the light of the world. And that is the message I feel he taught, is still teaching through us in this form that, we've chosen to come down in. And so, that to me is that massive ripple that is just being extended and extended and extended, because when you're in the darkness, as we've all been, we need that light to help us, to say there's hope, there is love here, take my hand. And I think that is now for me, is like when I'm having my wobbles or my upsets or really overwhelmed, I just say, take my hand. I cannot do this without you, and I do not want to anymore. I've tried it my way. I've tried it without you, and it doesn't work. And it's painful. Yeah. And I don't want that pain, So holding his hand is just, it's so loving. Yeah. It's so gentle. So kind of full circle there. It's that kind of same thing. Really.
Yeah. That's it, though. That's like exactly what I'm getting at with this question, is that when we focus on Jesus being our teacher, of teaching us how to see our brothers accurately, see the light in them, see the Christ in them, that's a light bulb that then goes off in us, and we recognize ourselves through our brothers. And this is why I feel like one of the fundamental things that Jesus even taught in the Bible is love God with all your heart and mind, love your brothers, love your enemies. Like, he's wanting us to embody the love that we are. The love is also synonymous with the Christ. It's how God created us. It's true for all eternity. And right now in our world, we can definitely look through the physical eyes and see the opposite of that. But it's not our job to judge that or condemn that. it is our job to forgive that and to overlook that and use that as the tool for awakening, to remember our Christ self. And I feel like this is something that is so important for us right now, especially in the world. And I'm just going to name it, with the war that's going on with Russia and so forth. It's so easy for us to see enemies and see people we hate and like condemn, the president of Russia. And I get it. He's not in his right mind. He's making absolutely insane ideas. But it is our responsibility to also still pray for him and love him and forgive him, because he knows not what he does. And if we want to bring peace and love to humanity, it starts with us in our current relationships and extends to the global relationships. And this is our work, this is our function, and Jesus is holding our hand and helping us to do that, because it's not easy work. But when we can trust him and, like you said, hold his hand, it's him that shows it to us. It's him that shows us the forgiven perception and the Christ in our brothers. And that is what will help. It's the greatest form of help. So thank you for sharing all of that and us coming back to this place. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful.
Okay. So this is one of the last questions here. But what would you say to someone who's in the position where they feel like they can't quite trust Jesus yet? We've talked about trust being the foundation of our relationship with him. But when we're new and we are maybe unsure of being able to trust him, or being able, unsure about communication with him, what would you say or offer as guidance or help to those brothers and sisters?
Yeah, well, I haven't been that person myself.
Yeah.
I think, I've said it before, but it's the power of asking is very, very powerful. And the time when I was going to train to be a multi-faith minister, again, not something I'd been looking for, but when I sort of agreed to do it, I was at a workshop. And I remember getting in the car and driving home, and I just said to them upstairs, that's what I kind of called it all at that time, really almost in this kind of stroppy teenage kind of thing. I was going, okay, you want me to do this? Then you sort the money out, because I haven't got the money. And that was it. And I was almost to the point, I thought, and I don't even care if I even do this or not. And again, there was an asking, even though it was stroppy teenage asking, it was still asking. And so at that point, I wasn't all, in the love and the light and, all pink and fluffy. It was just really stroppy, actually. But again, the answer came. And because Jesus doesn't care how we ask. That's what's so beautiful as well. I always used to think that you had to be some, guru sitting on a mountain, omming or meditating, or some. And I thought, well, that's not me.
Right.
It's never going to be me.
Right.
But that's why I've seen that it's just like really normal. Really,
Yeah.
It's a conversation like we're having.
Yeah.
And it's no different. It's just, so even if you don't believe, I'd say, what have you got to lose by asking?
Right.
And even if you're really stroppy and you think, well, get your.
Yeah.
Because that's how I was. Because I was just like.
Yeah. I was really rough too.
Yeah.
Swear and everything.
Oh, yeah. But it's such a good feeling in a way, because again, there was kind of no attachment, and I wasn't kind of bowing down to something, whatever, because that was never me.
Me either.
So it literally, what have you got to lose? That's what I would say. And I'm supporting a friend at the moment who's really at a pivotal point of her awakening, where she, the dark night of the soul is coming up, and all the ego is really raging now, because she's made a big step.
Sure.
And we had this exact conversation actually yesterday. She said, well, I don't know if even Jesus existed, she said to me. I don't know if I believe that. And I said, that's cool.
It's fine.
Because that's your reality now.
Yep.
And I was the same.
Yep.
And I said, we all need, again, those beacons, the way showers. And that's what I had in my friend Sarah, who was the first person who saw me. And really saw me. And I thought, well, she looks normal. She's doing normal things. yet she's living this extraordinary life in my eyes because of the teaching and the way she was. So I think we need the normality of that to help people think it's not some special thing. It's just very natural, actually.
Yeah.
And in your asking it will come. And I've seen it so many times, but that is our bit, we have to ask. And it may be easier to journal or to write down also what you're feeling. I find that very helpful when I have times when I'm just, and again, don't be polite.
Mm-mm.
Don't be pretty.
Mm-mm.
Because feel the truth that's coming. Whatever you're feeling, feel it, because you will not be judged for it.
That's so good. Yeah.
And I really would let go, I can tell you. And it wasn't pretty.
Yeah.
But that's the thing that showed me that however I behave or whatever I say, I am still loved.
Yes.
by that source. Always.
Always.
And it's the same for everyone. And I guess that's the thing, isn't it? If we don't take that little, even if it's a minute little step, just one toe, over the line in a way, we'll never know. And then we get to the point where it's like we build our strength and our confidence, and we think, okay, so like I did, that first time, and it's like, oh, so next time you can take a slightly bigger step, because you think, oh, okay, it wasn't too bad. I'm still here, and then you stride, and you think, and then it becomes like, wow, this is fun, actually.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing that is so beautiful, that Jesus is really funny.
He is. He's hilarious.
And you have these, and sometimes when I hear myself, and then I hear almost the response, it just cracks me up. Just have these hysterical moments of thinking, wow, yeah. So yeah, just take those little baby steps and ask. Yeah.
I think it's really important that you pointed out, just be as you are. If you're messy, if you're angry, if you're scared, if you're confused, be fully that, because it's him who's going to get us out anyway. So like, if we just be fully who we are and not worry about trying to make it pretty or be down on our knees, or like, just be open to asking for that help. That is the key to the help. It really, really is. Like you said, it's we have to ask. I've always said, like, asking is our superpower. Like, it's our superpower. And if you just try it on and just ask from whatever place you're in, like I swear I've sweared so intensely and so deeply and so sharply at him, like, God, show me right now, but it works just the same. Like, it doesn't have to be these fanciful pretty words that are written up in like hymns and everybody's singing in the churches. It doesn't have to look like that. It doesn't have to be like that. Just be who you are, and he will meet you where you are with complete lack of judgment and only love.
Absolutely. And I think this is what's the beauty, is it's normalizing it.
Yes, it is.
Like you're saying, you don't have to go to a specific place of worship. Do it, yes, that's cool, but it doesn't have to be that way. And I think that was the breakthrough for me. And it's everywhere you go.
Yeah.
In any situation, the hand is there.
Always.
No matter what. And what else, and who else can we rely on to that degree?
Seriously.
Not in this world.
Right.
Not that I've come across. And that's, I think, the thing that is so, the steadiness. And there's never a bad day.
Right.
From Jesus's point of view, he's never having a bad day. Exactly. Saying, no, can't do it today. No, too much today.
Too tired, sorry.
Yeah, had enough already. Never have I, it's always, yes, open arms.
Yes.
Always.
Yes.
And I think that was another kind of hurdle I had to get over, because it was almost like, well, can I really sort of ask for this, or could I really bother you, but why me? Right. Why would you want me? Little old me. And so, and we all have those ego kind of thoughts, don't we? And yeah, you.
Yeah, you.
It is. Yeah, you.
You.
Absolutely
you. To you. Yeah. Exactly.
There's no exception.
No exception.
No, no.
So beautiful. And I'm even thinking, I love that we're normalizing this because this is what is so important. And I even see little things like, what am I going to have to eat today? What jacket can I buy my daughter? Like even those small little mundane things. Like the
Mm.
course teaches us, like, leave the mundane to him. We can leave the big stuff to him, but we can also leave the mundane things to him. Like he really wants to help us to lead our life in the direction of love and only love. And we can save so much pain and confusion if we
Mm.
do let him in with the everyday mundane and know we are worth it, like exactly where we are, and he welcomes us exactly where we are, and this is for everyone. We are all beloved children of God, and he wants us to know that, and so when we ask him, that is our saying, okay, I want to know that too, and then he will show
Mm.
us in all the small moments and the big moments of our life that truth is true and we are loved.
Yeah, oh, that's beautiful. Yeah.
Oh, I love this conversation. So to conclude here, is there any final thoughts, any final words of wisdom or a prayer or anything that's coming for you to extend as the final message of today?
Oh, yeah, I just as you were saying, be you, never apologize for being you, for where you perceive you are. Um, and the words that are just coming in, be true to yourself, that there is a light in you that is to be shared. And that is how we change the world. Martin, no, not Martin, it was Gandhi who said, we are the change we wish to see in the world. And if you really sit with that, it's pretty powerful. And that is the only way I know that we can find true peace, because it has to start with us. And I think that's how powerful we are, really. And if we all start to do the work on ourselves and to shine that light, and that's not arrogant. I used to think that was arrogance, but it says clearly, no, you are the light of the world, and he needs us to shine the light. And as we say yes to that, that is when the miracle will come in. And I can't think of anything that could be more serving to this, to use the word humanity earlier, than for us to wake up to the truth of who we are and share that light. So it's just, that's how powerful this is for us. And we've all, as I say, I think we've all had people that have inspired us and shone the light when we really were in the dark. Well, I know for me, that when you're in that dark place, you don't know the way out.
No. Right.
And you don't even know there's a way out.
Right.
That was my experience. So when the little crack opens, the little slither of light, it's like, go to that and let the door swing wide open because it's just the prison we've put ourselves in, and the door has never been locked. It's always been open. So if that can help people to even see an image of where they are now, the door is open. So go through it. Again, what have you got to lose, really? And just, even if you're doubting, it's just, again, just trust that it's there. So yeah, that's joy in that. I just feel it's so powerful, because as we heal our mind, because everything is a projection of the mind. If we see a war in the world, it's because we're warring in our mind. Mm-hmm. That's the only way we'll heal it out there. Exactly. Is healing it in there. That's the only job. Exactly. That I know that works. Yeah. So as I say, I think that's a pretty good job to be getting on with.
The most important job to be getting on with.
I think so.
And that it's back to the quote you quoted before. Like Jesus's last words before he left this planet, this dream world, was "Forgive them, for they know not what they do." And if he was the one who was being crucified so intensely by our brothers, and yet he still was able to stand there in the integrity of truth and love and forgiveness and blessing to them. Oh my goodness, if we could even just lean on a little bit of that and apply it, to ourselves, to what's going on in this world. I mean, that is us doing our part. That is us walking through that door and letting that little light shine, and everything you shared, and that's it, just doing our best.
Yeah.
And asking for help when we need it. This is so important and so beautiful, and thank you for sharing your relationship with Jesus today.
Thank you. Honestly, it's been a joy. I feel lifted. I feel elevated, and I'm seeing this more. It's as we step into that, it's just so beautiful. And I always hid in the dark, always hid. I don't want to be seen, or let me hide over here. But when we really step forward, and just sharing with you now, it's just like, wow, because as we share it, it just keeps going out, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So thank you, and for what you're doing. What a gift!
Absolutely. Oh, I'm so grateful to be doing this. And thank you, Jesus. He keeps bringing you beautiful souls to me, and so I'm blessed to meet you and join in this with you and share this with you. And I look forward to all that's to come.
Me too. Yay. Thank you, sweetheart. Thank you so much.
And thank you, everyone, for watching. We love you. Be sure to like and subscribe so this message can definitely be brought to even more people who are meant to be blessed by it. So thank you for being here. And peace to everyone.
Yeah. Expect miracles.
Expect miracles. Amen.
Yes. Amen. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.